Hey everyone, it's Dabacab here. Blizzard has just released the Bastion short, and I thought I would make a video discussing my thoughts about it. The animators actually did a couple of really cool and really subtle effects, and I'm not sure if everyone noticed them, so I thought I would make this video and point them out to you, and just, marvel at how awesome of a job they did. So I'll say right off the bat that this is probably my most anticipated short. Man, this bird is so chipper. I don't know how they made him seem so upbeat and cheerful, but he just seems so happy. Like he belongs in a Disney show, like a Disney movie, right? Like some princess goes out into the wood and starts singing and he alights on her fingers. Anyways, well actually I guess it's a she because she's building a nest. Also, I'm curious if this is a real bird. I have no idea. If there are any birdologists out there, let me know if it's a bird, what it's called. And I'm actually curious to know if it's a native bird to Germany. Because if it is, that would be very clever of Blizzard. Anyways, God, this is so pretty. I have been really looking forward to the Bastion short because he is by far the most mysterious and shrouded in secrecy hero of all the heroes in Overwatch, in my opinion. You just don't know much about him. I mean, he doesn't talk, he doesn't vocalize anything, so you don't really know what he's thinking or feeling outside of just beeps and boops and the backstory. And oh man, I really like the conflict here between nature and nurture. Oh, let me just say real quick, pay attention to his body language here, specifically how smooth his movement is. Like right now, yes, he's robotic. He's moving in somewhat jerky and robotic movements. But at the same time, there's a certain fluidity to it. It's just a little bit more fluid than a couple of other robotic movements that comes up later. And I wanted to point that out to you. Like this here with the deer, this is actually a pretty fluid movement. You can almost see a person making this movement. So his gait and his gaze are much more natural and almost biological. So this whole beginning scene and this whole I like that surprise look and beat, man, it's so well animated. I like how there's sort of a theme of nature versus nurture that comes throughout this, which is kind of a really interesting theme to play with, considering we're talking about a man-made device built by a company versus what is natural. What is natural to a robot, right? They don't have a natural state out in the wilderness, but apparently this Bastion unit does have a natural state, and this is a natural state. So you have to wonder if, are the other Bastion units like this potentially, if they weren't, sent into war? And I just don't know the answer to that. And, oh god, this was so clever. To have the woodpecker replicate the machine gun shot. Man, in the distance, that does actually almost sound like a gun. And we've all been on the receiving end of this bullet and these bullets, and oh my god, that's kind of what it feels like. Yeah, man, that's so pretty. Oh, they do a really cool thing here. Look how he's trembling almost. He's always got sort of a almost diesel powered shake to him, but here it makes him seem almost like he's trembling, like sort of like a post adrenaline. Oh my, I'm so full of energy. I can't believe what just happened, and your hands are shaking. Like that before that, the servo movement just sort of felt like this mechanical motion, but here it feels like he's scared of what just happened. Like, oh my god, what was that? And he's almost shaking from it. And wow, that's so pretty. Wouldn't you love to play a map and look up and see that? I'm guessing that's Eichenwald in the distance. We can't really be certain. But and then there's this beautiful city that looks a lot like Numbani. Actually, there's almost sort of a consistent style going on. And oh man, the innocent people are about to get mowed down by the most brutal backdoor in Overwatch history. So it's a little bit strange that these people never bothered to clean up these murder bots, self-repairing murder bots out in their backyard. You'd think they would have sent a cleanup crew. Maybe the city is abandoned? I don't know. It doesn't look necessarily like it's abandoned, but I just think that someone really should get out there and scrap these bots before one of them spontaneously wakes up and marches to the city and murders a bunch of innocent people, Maybe that would be a good idea. Hard to say. Okay, so This cutscene is so good. This flashback. This game, especially, oh man, I want to watch the Reinhardt. I want to watch the Reinhardt cinematic so badly. Anyways, so Overwatch is this really bright, optimistic universe, which is super rare for this genre, where everything's grim and dark and gritty. So you sort of like lose sight of the fact that this is coming off the back of a giant war, and this is sort of like, oh yeah, wow, actually, I had forgotten about this. There's this Omnic war, and people were like brutally slaughtered by the millions. See, right here, this is what I'm talking about. There's a very obvious shift in his body language. It's much more robotic, much more at a constant tempo, as compared to before when it was a bit more fluid, so that you convey, just by how he walks, a complete change in personality. And oh, his buddy comes to save him with the power of friendship and sticks. And he's so chipper. He's like, oh, I'm sorry that the last nest. Oh, this shot right here. That's beautiful camera work. He is in the middle of two decisions. On the left is life, it's creation, it's friendship. On the right, it's death, the past, programming, and he's perfectly in the middle between those two extremes. So he has to make a decision, which is physically represented by his movements, and that's just really clever camera work. I mean, keep in mind, they have to tell this whole story without saying any words or using any text, so they have to rely on these camera effects, and they did an awesome job of it. I think this is probably the coolest cinematic by far, and just props to Blizzard. This was awesome. To be honest, I had a feeling this was going to be my favorite short, simply because they wouldn't be able to rely on cheap action scenes to entertain people. They had to really be artistic and think outside of the box, and I think I was right. This is my favorite by far. Anyways, thanks for watching. Dabacab out.